Hey. Hello, what's this week's Devil Detail podcast? I'm Rob Paxton, and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Parky. Been a while, Parky.
Yeah, evening, Rob. Yeah, it has been. A lot's gone on in this time. I've lost track of everything that's happened in the off season already, and we're only in November. But yeah, it has been a while. We've got a lot of catching up to do. So hopefully we can get through it quickly without keeping people listening for the next 4 hours. But yeah, I'll try and keep it short and sweet as I can. But there is, as I say, there's a lot to go on. I just want to apologise to anyone who is watching it, by the way, rather than just listening, for the state of my head. We're in the middle of a lot of building work at the moment, and I've kind of let myself go. But don't worry, it's only temporary. So don't panic if I look, absolutely shocking. So anyone
Paul's come as a olden day priest, so he's doing a podcast at 8:30, and then at 10:30 he's due to ring some bells. Is that right, Parker?
That's the one. Yeah. I've got a few souls to save, so yeah. But yeah, I just thought I'd drop that in there. The lighting in here is not great. I've had to move rooms and everything, so but we'll get through this, and hopefully those that are listening, it won't affect you, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, bells to ring and vampires to slay. That's what you got to do in the next couple of hours. I do apologise, obviously, for not doing one for the last few weeks. Been recovering from COVID. I felt terrible, honestly. It was, touch and go for a couple of days. But luckily, body fought it off, and I'm here to tell the tale, Parker.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's frightening, isn't it? I mean, I've been very fortunate, touch whatever that is, not to have really been affected by it. Everyone around me seems to have been, and I was a bit high risk. So, but I'm fully vaccinated and boosted. So, fingers crossed I'm through the worst of it anyway. But yeah, I know lots of people who've had it, and it's not pleasant, is it?
No, no idea where I got it. Also double vaccinated as well. Total mystery, but it was tough for a couple of days. But yeah, just try and stay safe best you can. And I know we want the world to get back to normal, but just don't switch off. That's my advice. So loads to go at, because obviously we've not done this for like a month. It feels like a month anyway. So there's loads to go at. And what we'll do, Parky, we'll start with a big news from the supporters stadium update last night. So there was a stadium update last night, Parky, at the AJ Bell Stadium. George Harborne, Paul Trainer, and Paul King all had like chats to the crowd. It was very informative of what's going on.
It was fantastic. Obviously we can move on to the stadium shortly, but the first two, George Harborne come on and told us, basically a commercial side of things and the strides that have been made. I know the podcast he did with you a few weeks back was, I think I said at the time, it's one of the best things I've ever listened to coming out of the club, and I mean ever, in 40 odd years. The way he speaks and his plans, and it's just a shame we've waited this long for somebody like him to come in and give us this. But all the news he came out with again last night, he's all positive. The projections of what's going to happen, not just next season, the season after, money that's already secured for that. Salford we've been, cap in hand all the time, haven't we? It's week to week. This guy has got such vision, and he knows what he wants, and to reach certain landmarks all the way. And I listened to him again last night, and I'm just blown away by the way he goes about his business. And it's not a case of this is what we're gonna do. We've done it. We're doing it. We're already ahead. Don't worry about that. No matter what happens, we're secure. We've got there's money coming in. And obviously just need help from the supporters with everything now, with season tickets and so on. But no, I mean, he was fantastic, and it's nice to feel that we're in such safe hands. And then following that, you've got Paul Trainer coming on, and the stuff that's gone on in the community, we've never seen anything like it. The club's always made good efforts, always. The people behind the scenes, the John Blackburns of the world, and people like that have been nothing but heroes for us. But this is a whole new level. This is unbelievable. Not just we've got the partnerships as was mentioned in Wales and Ghana now and so on. The schools, we've got over 80 schools in Greater Manchester involved, and Cheshire as well, in rugby league, and most of which were never interested in rugby league. And it's not just selling Salford, it's selling the game as well. The work that's gone in, the players we're bringing through for our own use in the future, but also future supporters and everything else. I mean, that's just, a brief sort of few lines about what we heard last night. But the advances in this club, and as I say, it's not a case of, as it has been before, we're going to set up this and this is how we're going to do it. We got there last night and got told this already happened. We're already ahead of that. We've got this team now in for next season, for the reserves and everything else. It's all there. It's all set up. The whole pathway from start to finish, from school level right the way through to getting players into the first team. It's there. It's ready. And you probably use a government phrase, oven ready, as you would say. A lot of work to do. Obviously, a long way to go. This has only been a few months. If they can do this much work in that period, give them 5 years. Yeah, we could be anywhere. I think from what I've read and the people that are involved, some of the names involved in it, other clubs will be very envious of where we're going. The only thing we lack at the moment is the Elite Academy, which we've missed out on. It won't be long before the RFL, I think, review that and see what work is going in and realise that we're tapping into, like I just said, not just Salford, but Manchester, Trafford. I know you mentioned, like I say, Cheshire. This is the future of rugby league, and we're going to be a hotbed of it. We're going to be the centre. And the one thing that I will say about last night, without going on to Paul King's part either, it's just a shame these guys weren't on board 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because going on to the stadium, we wouldn't be in this position now. We would have bums on seats. We would be successful. We would have an academy. We had a certain person come in with money, but no vision like this. Nothing. We've never seen anything like it. And those three in particular, Paul Trainer, George Harbour, and Paul King, have been just an absolute breath of fresh air. I know I've gone on a bit, and that's only a short summary of what we've seen, and it is coming out on RDTV, isn't it? Tomorrow, I believe. And I just recommend everybody watch it, because the progress this club is making, the future is bright, very, very bright.
Yeah, obviously they talked about the pathway and the people involved, like you said. Stuart Wilkinson, ex-Wales coach, Danny Barton, John Fieldhouse, John Blackburn, Chris Irwin, and Paul, is it Berry? Is all know what they're doing, all super switched on. And we've always said, haven't we? Lots of time they talked about putting things in place in the future, but the future now, the future is here, and it's kind of makes you think, well, if we can have a few good seasons and get the wheels turning, Parky, and get the kids through this process, both on and off the field, then who knows, in sort of 3 and 5 years' time, who knows where we'll be.
I'm absolutely stoked, and I don't think there's any doubt with these people in charge, if we can get the stadium issue sorted. I mean, it'd be great to have a benefactor come in who could perhaps support the first team financially, so we can concentrate on what's going on, or at least take part of the burden away. This will happen a lot quicker. Obviously, we're splitting very little money between, some, and this is what's amazed me, how far they've gone with what they've done. We've got a new commercial team coming together, haven't we? In the next, I think at the start of next month. It's just, everything's changing. The professionalism of the club is just something completely new to us, and it's kind of, like I say, it's a shame it hasn't happened sooner. It hasn't been able to. Obviously, these people haven't been available, but I think, like you say, 3 to 5 years. I think we're going to be a very comfortable club, and a lot of clubs will be learning a lot from what we do now. And I think that the future of Salford Red Devils, once we've got this stadium issue out of the way, is going to be very safe for a long, long time to come. And the benefits and the fruits of the labour that's been put in now, we're going to have a club to be very, very proud of.
Yeah, obviously, like we said, there's a major benefactor, but I think that kind of helps in one way because the likes of Paul King and Paul Trainer and all the people involved care, and they give and they'll give and they'll give the talent, and they'll give the time, and they'll give everything. When if there was somebody who was just handing out money at the top, would they run through that wall for the likes of Paul King and Paul Trainer? That's the big question. We saw it previous owners. Maybe we didn't, and we didn't feel loved in that way. But this the club, from someone who's looking from the outside in, it is is well functioning. It's generating excitement to us on the outside, and it's a great time to be a Salford fan.
Yeah. What I mean by that, the financial side is obviously the big. That's the hole we've got, and we have to take money maybe from a first team player that's now that we can't have, or the next level of player, and we need success on the pitch to help boost this, to get crowds, to get bums on seats, to get the money back, that kind of, and it's just a little bit of support for Paul and them, because these guys, you won't want to replace any of them. That's the key. You just want that somebody else just to edge us along a little bit, just get us through this period now, because we'll be fully set up. I think we will be self-sufficient in no time. Obviously, I think 2022, they're looking at the share issue and everything else, where everybody around the world, but anyone who's got any interest in Salford can be involved, can be part of owning this club. And that again is an extra boost financially, and but everything's all these building blocks are in place now, and we're ready. We're literally ready to launch. I don't think I've ever been this positive, and last night again just pushed that along. We're not avoiding the elephant in the room here, which is the stadium. We know that's going to be the big key. But even listening to Paul King last night and what he said about, the options are simple. We know that. Everybody knows that. Anyone who follows Salford know what basically the options are, and not great for anybody. But the one choice I think we have to make is we move, we go to Moor Lane, we make it work. And I know, again, with these guys behind the scenes, it will work. And it's not just what we see now, it's what we're going to see in 5 years' time when we do move. And the money that's going to help us generate, again, to push us forward. We're not paying out to people just to go and play at the stadium. It'll be ours. We'll be making money. It's home, and this is what we need now. And I know in the coming weeks and months, there's going to be, it's up to us fans. Paul's put that out there now, that it's up to us what we do. We stay at the AJ Bell and suffer and financially be crippled. Do we move to Moor Lane, gain ownership, gain our destiny's then in our own hands? We've got to make that work. Or do we move out of Salford? Well, if you're a Salford fan and that's your option, I think you'd be in a very, very small minority. Or we go bust, and it's pretty simple. But the Moor Lane thing now, I'm sold on it. I certainly wasn't up till last night. I was still very on the edge. I know it was the option, but when you listen to what the plan is eventually, and how we're going to go forward, and all this that's going on behind, this can work and this will work. And we as fans have just got to go with it and give the club all the backing we can.
Like you said, Parker, moving to Moor Lane puts our destiny in our own hands, and that's the important thing. Obviously, with the AJ Bell, we're only a tenant, and we aren't able to sort of harvest all the money which comes from being in a stadium. But if we are sort of owning of the Moor Lane, we can get sponsorship, we can get food, we can get all kinds of extra revenue streams into the club, which helps the club grow, and it helps invest into certain areas of the club. And it's a win-win for me. I don't see, AJ Bell's a fantastic stadium. There was one point where I was thinking, we've made a lot of money, the sponsorships are coming in. Can we make enough to stay at the AJ Bell? But we will be sort of at the beck of call of Sale and Salford City. And if they want to charge us 750,000 sort of a year to play there, that's what they'll do. And we can't get there that's the way it is. You know what I mean? So at least in this situation, you know, as long as everything, all the boxes get ticked and we can get to more lane, you know, there's lots of things they need to do. I spoke to Paul King and Paul Trainer on a podcast that's going to come out on Thursday, Friday this week. And, you know, they gave us, you know, Paul King gave us an idea of what needs to be done. And, you know, he was going to speak to a builder about it today, basically. Yeah. Same builder that's doing your house, Parky. Maybe that's why I had to speak to him sort of yesterday about it. But it's, you know, it's interesting if he can, if you know, we can cross the T's and dot the I's and get this, you know, more lane up to a sort of a decent standard. I can't. There isn't a downside to this, and you know, we're super excited about it. It did say they're going to put it to a season ticket holders ballot over Christmas, which is the right thing to do. He wants his mandate. He wants to be backed by the fans, which is right. So over Christmas, you'll probably get like a voting slip, I assume, where you can decide what you want for the future. But like Parky said, for me, there's only one answer, and he wasn't. You know, we do believe a lot of propaganda going on, but he wasn't. You know, it was straight down the line yesterday. He had one choice, and that's what it was.
The thing was, I mean, we obviously had the question and answers and everything else last night, and a lot of things were put to bed. I mean, things about how do you get there, you know, and the park and ride scheme. It's already been looked at. It's already been spoken about. Parking. Yeah. We're looking at all the options that are available to get people there.
Sorry, just jump in there, Parker. People talk. Oh, say, how do we get to more lane? Where'd you park? People talk like nobody's going. Salford City do that now. Where are them fans parking? They must be parking somewhere. So, you know, it's not like it's a new thing and we're trying to figure out where all these cars are going to go. Salford City fans park around the ground now to get to the game. So it's not like a thing that's going to blow people's mind, because that's what happens. Sorry, Parky, carry on.
No, and there's always ways around it. There will be, you know, and the council are obviously invested with us as well at making this transition work if we can. But, you know, like I say, he's frank with everything. And he did say there's challenges. Moving to more lane is a massive challenge, and there will be financial outlay that's going to have to be made to make the state. I mean, you mentioned things like the camera gantry. The whole roof of the more lane stand on one side of that more lane side of the ground will have to be replaced, because oddly enough, even though Salford City are an EFL club, you know, and they're on Sky, they're only on maybe once or twice a year, even if that. And they use, you know, they don't need a permanent gantry, whereas Sky and Rugby League demand that you do, because every game is covered by Sky on behalf of the Super League. So that needs to happen. The floodlights aren't up to standard. For some reason, football, their lights aren't as bright as the ones required in the Super League. Another thing, you know, there's a whole outlay of things. The sponsorship hoardings that he mentioned are bigger in Rugby League than they are in football, which is going to take away possibly a row of seats. So we need to extend another way. You know, there are a lot of challenges ahead of us. And Paul wasn't hiding behind anything, you know, not one bit. But the key is everything else is in place. And these are challenges that we can face. And hopefully with a bit of sensibility from all parties, you know, this can happen. And then from then on, once we're in there, the benefits are, you know, financially are unreal. We'll have our own home. We'll make our own money, the naming right of the stadium, whatever you want. And, you know, who knows, in, you know, 5-10 years time, we might look back and think this is the restart that we really wanted when we moved to the AJ Bell, what we weren't set up for. No predictions of we need to make 8,000 people come through the gates every week to pay the rent. You know, there'll be none of that. That's gone. And obviously staying at the AJ Bell, there's a chance in the next 2 years that our rent, you know, could go up by another third, you know, whatever. Yeah. And we can't afford it now. So just, it's so straightforward and simple. That's the option we've got. And Paul King and everybody else put to bed a lot of things last night. And any questions anybody had, you know, that he's not hiding behind anything. This isn't as straightforward as we'd like it, but it's the option, and it's the best option going forward.
Yeah, talked about, obviously, because there's no kind of office space there or training facilities available. He's on the lookout, seeing what's available. That's important, obviously, because we're a Super League club. We need sort of a Super League quality sort of training facilities. Talks about trying to get everyone under one roof, which is important for sort of culture at the club. But that's he's talking to certain parties about what's available and what people can do for us. So, well, I would say he's delivered this with the stadium. So I am not saying quietly confident. I am confident that Paul will sort of come up with something for us.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the key is that we're this far already without even moving, if you know what I mean. Nothing's been said, but all avenues have been looked at. We're already a little bit further down the line than we could be. Not on the decision of moving, but if we do, how far are we ready to go? We're at the AJBL next season. There's no doubt about that. We've got another 12 months. So how far we'll progress. This deal with Sale and Salford City could go through in the next week, could go through in the next month. And then we know definitely what's happening. And we've got that time then to make these adaptations if we need, or at least have things in place to know where the funding is, to know what... This is what I'm saying about nothing's knee-jerk now. There's a plan. And we know where we stand and we know where we're going to be. And again, going back to what George was saying about predictions with the finance, he already knows what's available for 2023 before we've got 2022 started. And there'll be more to add. We know where we're going. We know what's going to be there. There's going to be no shocks. It's just a case of getting it done now.
The only thing that could shock is something totally out of our control would be the RFL's future, what they view as Super League about sort of, things that they want regarding stadium facilities and stuff like that. But that is in our hands, is it? We can only do what we can do. And then obviously in 2024, when it kicks in, we'll have to, hopefully, we'll have a seat at that table, so we'll be able to argue our point. Don't forget the likes of Castleford and Wakefield. Their stadium has stayed the same. We had to leave the Willows to try and cement our future. So that might be something that might come in our favour, sort of in that part of the discussion. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, totally confident in the direction we're going, Parky, and only good things come from this for me.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the key is, you mentioned the RFL there, and I think anyone who's ever listened to me on this podcast knows what I think of them and Super League, the people who run the sport, who come up with a lot of crackpot ideas. And they'll make their decision anyway. The people that are involved in it are probably biased on their own side, but would they look at us getting 3,500 in a 12,000 seat stadium, with a very, poorish atmosphere, and it's not a great advert on Sky when they see it. We move to Moor Lane. We up the capacity perhaps to 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, and we get 5,000 in there. Absolutely buzzing. Is that a better advert? Does that work better? And with everything going on in the community behind it and the commercial side, the RFL and Super League will look at us and go, actually, they're in a better position than we, than others, and they would find it hard, I think, to make any other decision. But these are the people that come up with some very strange ideas about splitting leagues and doing all sorts. So who knows? You can't guarantee anything. Nobody can. But this is as far as we can go to guaranteeing our future now.
If our plans land, Parker, by 2024. The RFL will need a heart of stone, won't they, to bump us off at that point, really, because we're ticking all the boxes. We've built this, but like you say, that is out of our hands. We can only do what we can do, and hopefully by then, we'll be settled in, and it'll be all good, and there'll be no worries, and we'll be ready to. Like I say, having a decent atmosphere. Obviously, 5,000 in Moor Lane, it'll feel like 40,000.
Yeah, we're pretty good at making an atmosphere, I think, no matter where we go and how many there are of us. But in there, it is kind of built for that. And it could be, like I say, it could be absolutely bouncing, couldn't it? And all we need is that little bit of joy on the pitch as well. And I can't. There's nothing to kind of hold us back. I'm not saying going on and dominating the world of rugby league or anything silly like that, but we're a lot better now than we've probably ever been since the 70s. So let's embrace this now and move on and let's back the club and everything they're doing. Like I say, season tickets when the new shirts out, and let's get some money back into the club and look forward now. The club are doing everything they can, and it's our turn again now to pick up the baton.
Yeah, and the person chosen, Parky, to sort of head that success on the field is Paul Rowley, our newest head coach. Danny Orr is one of his assistants. Kurt Haggerty is another assistant of his. What do you make of that appointment?
I think it's a wise appointment. I think Paul Rowley's got an absolute wealth of experience in rugby league. His passion you can see it there. A wise move. I mean, as I said to yourself and Paul many times in the past when we started talking about new coaches, we're not going out and getting Wayne Bennett. We're not that finance isn't there to pay these managers. You pay him a big wage. You're not paying a player. So you've got to cut your cloth. Paul Rowley knows the club inside out. He knows the players. I know last year he wasn't involved as such because he was helping with this pathway that we've got now. But he understands how the club works. He knows the finances. There's no shocks for him. He can concentrate now on just getting his team together. I think it's a really good move. I think listening to his press conference straight away just filled me with a bit more passion and a bit more joy than we had possibly last year. And I think it's a great appointment. Danny, obviously, he knows the team. He knows everything about them. He can obviously help more with Paul at the moment because there'll be little bits about players that Paul won't know, or little training things or whatever, or things that he thinks players have to work on. And Kurt Haggerty, what a job he did at Leigh. To be fair to him, stepping into a team that were doomed from the start. They beat us with him in charge, and obviously went on, I think, beat Wakefield after that. But the performances were great. He played a really good brand of rugby. Anyone who watched them, before we went, I knew what we were going to face. It just appeared that our preparations weren't right for it. But I think it's all great. I think there's nothing to be worried about. And he's got his hands on the team now. He got him in a little bit earlier than most teams, I think. He's assessing what he's got. And I think it's a great appointment.
Yeah, did a good job at Toronto, did a good job at Leigh. Kirk Haggerty, like you said, at Leigh, Paul Rowley was part of when he came in, he was a coach consultant with us, with Ian Watson. Obviously now with Kurt Haggerty being a head coach but coming down to an assistant, does that sort of look at the same way as Ian Watson and Paul Rowley? They both head coaches, they both have ideas, but you both have two sets of eyes on it.
Yeah, I think so. I think the good thing is that Paul said in his press conference, he knows Kurt, he knows him. He coached him as a player. He knows he can trust him, and he obviously knows his ideas and what he wants. I think it will. I mean, the more experience you've got in them roles, is going to help, and it's going to support what Paul does. As a head coach, it's his head on the line, but the three of them together have got so much to offer. I think it looks a really good coaching setup. And like you mentioned, when Paul came in 2019, and worked with Watto, I mean, miracles happened that year. Absolutely, I don't think any of us will ever get over that. And he helped that, and he helped Ian Watson. He advised him. He gave him, probably tips of what, where he can go. And the good thing is for me, I think with Paul, even if he doesn't want to go forward as a head coach for long, because he can't come away from it, he had to change it. He was loving what he was doing with the pathway stuff. He can educate Kurt Haggerty, and maybe Kurt could then take that role, and follow on. I mean, again, last night it was mentioned about the DNA of the club, starting with schools, starting with the academy, going through, and it runs through the club. And this is another way of doing that. It's looking to the future. and hopefully Paul and Kurt and Danny can get a great partnership. And if Paul Rowley then decides, but this isn't what I wanted to do anyway, really, but I'm doing it now. People are prepared to step in who know the club, and that's great. Rather than changing your coach every 2 or 3 years to a new guy who comes in and says, I don't want him, I don't like that. This isn't. I thought I'd have this to spend. I thought, I think it's a really good idea, and I think they'll work well together.
Yeah, super excited about the new coaching setup. Also, Parker, super excited about our new signing, the return of Mark Sneed, 3-year deal. It was with us between 2010 2014, kind of came through our academy before departing, but come back. Very excited about that.
Yeah, that was out of left field, wasn't it? I don't think anyone saw that coming. I certainly didn't. I knew we were, obviously we probably need another half back. We only had the two at the club with Brodie Croft coming in and Chris Atkin. And you can't really run with that. I know Ryan Braley could step in there, but I mean, that's massive. That's a massive signing. It's a real statement, I think. I look around the Super League now at half backs and I think, who could you grab? Who's got that experience of them years? Who's got that connection to the club as well? But what a coup! I was kind of stunned when I read it, and he'll offer us a lot. He knows the game now. He's been around long enough, Mark, and he'll be our leader there. Obviously, Brodie will come into a new league, a new club. He'll need time to settle. Great to have him with him to talk him through, to help him. And an unbelievable addition, really. And you're pretty much sure that every time we get a penalty, we're getting 2 points if we're in somebody's half. So, yeah, great work by the club. Ian Blease has pulled off an absolute, a wow of a signing there. And, again, more positives.
Yeah, the spine for me. Ascari or Braley, fullback. You've got Croft, you've got Sneed, then you've got Ackers or Atkin. All sort of interchangeable. All got pairs of hands. All can kick. Puts sort of doubt in defenders' sort of head what we're going to do. And as long as you have your runners either side, we're going to cause teams all kind of problems.
Yeah, and hopefully a fully fit, COVID-free Elijah Taylor.
Yeah.
To bring his experience and skills to the table. And like I say, that's the spine of a team. And you can work from that. I don't think there's any question of our 3 quarters. I think if you get them all fitting on the park at the same time, they're as dangerous as anything in the league. I know Paul Rowley mentioned in his press conference, he's probably looking for a bit more experience in the pack. Sure, he's got his eye out. There isn't a lot out there. That's the key at the moment. But we've already brought in two new props to add to the pack. So and second rower. So we're building well, and we're looking pretty strong. Like I say, Paul, if Paul Rowley's can find any money from somewhere, I'm sure he'll be looking to bring in maybe just one more forward to boost us. But all round, we're looking pretty tasty.
Yeah. Let's go through the new signings, Parker. Shane Wright, 2-year deal.
Yeah.
From Australia.
Yeah.
I don't follow Australian rugby league, so I can't tell you whether he's good or not. But I know you do, Parker, and I know you'll know.
Yeah, he's what you would call solid but not spectacular, which is basically what you need. There are players like that go unnoticed in so many ways in games. We've lacked since we've lost Flash and Tyke McCarthy, people like that. The work that them players do, and this is what this guy is doing. He's got an unbelievable work rate, and this is what they do. I spoke to a friend who's an Aussie living in Sydney, and asked his opinion, and he said his words were straight away, he'll do a job. And that's what you need. He's one of those. How can I put it? Probably more like a Mark Shipway kind of signing, coming in and just do your job, do the work. But he has actually got. He's got decent hands as well. He's not. I mean, Mark had good hands. He had a great offload, didn't he? But he's that kind of player. So people will be going, who? But that's his job. That's what he does. He'll keep his head down and he will do exactly that. And Carl Allison used to mention it quite a lot that during his time assistant coach at Bradford, they had players like that. You had all these superstars, all these big names, Fielden and Peacock and whoever else, Vanganar or whatever. But you had people in the back row who just did the job that they were paid to do. And that's what this guy will offer us. That bit of solid, a solid player who'll do the work for the hopefully the outside backs to show their flair from.
All good teams, Rob and Parky. And if we can sort of fill our team with them and have that sprinkle that bit of magic over the top, we'll have a top team next season. Next signing, here's one. King Vuiyawa from Leeds.
That'll do for me.
Yes.
That's as good as it's getting. It's going to be called King, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Luke's not sent me a voice note yet with his name, so I would guess that one.
Yeah,
he's a unit as well.
Yeah, very much so. Bit of a surprise that. From what I believe, Leeds were actually keen on keeping him, and their fans certainly wanted to give him another go. But he's chosen us to sort of, I don't know, for the next chapter of his career. I know he missed a bit. He's had a couple of injuries, didn't he, last year and so on. But who didn't in Super League last year? But yeah, another big unit. I'm sure Paul Rowley's going to work on him and getting him right for the start of the season. Exactly what we need. We lost too many props in the last couple of years, and again the experience side of it. And he'll bring what he's learned at Leeds. Playing again alongside some top professionals there. Yeah, another good signing. I'd like to say a bit of a surprise for me, that one.
We'll definitely need a voice note off you, Luke, for this one. Siteleki Anavoka from Warrington. Am I close?
Akawala.
He'll do.
Akawala.
Yeah, him.
A proper wrecking ball. That's what he is. I do have reservations slightly on the amount of minutes he does, which we're going to have to extend and get more out of. But that's the way he's been used. But you bring him on, wow. I mean, we know Paulie was knocking people over and things like that. This guy's devastating. He really is. He can run a ball in. Again, a skillful player as well, and a bit of turn of pace for a big guy. And again, exactly what we need. And they were saying about the props that we've lost, and it certainly cost us last year. In so many games, we didn't make meters. This guy will make meters. If we get him on the pitch for long enough and have other players around him, he just barrels through people. I saw it a couple of times last year when he was at Warrington, and he's quite a scary character. So them two together, they're on the pitch. I don't think making meters will be a problem for them. That's for certain.
That's what it is. If you get up the field, with these forwards making big yards, I think as well, they're not sort of massively massive either. They're quite mobile as well.
Yeah.
From what I've seen in the videos, they are sort of covering ground, that they're able to get around the field as well, which is important, I think, because obviously what you don't want is a set of forwards that are mobile and then set of backs that are, and team can sort of exploit that.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, like I was saying about the props, obviously Big Seb was of that mould in that way. Moose, Gil Dudson before that, people like that. They really always got us on the front foot. And that great 2019 season, the forwards we had did that, and we rotated them really well, and we missed that last year. We really did. Obviously losing Moose halfway through the season was always going to be a huge problem, but injuries and everything else, and we need that. And once we get up the park, I mean, like we say, our 3 quarters, and now we brought Sneed in, whose kicking game will be on point. Drop a ball probably into Kenny Seo's hands, any time. Probably a shame that we've lost Inu, because he'd have loved all that. Get close to the line, put a ball in the air, he's catching it. But overall, the whole thing seems to be coming together a little bit more. We get out the park, we'll score tries.
Yeah, it's sort of important, we're able to blend. But like I say, Paul Rowley, this is off season. That's what happens. They'll be able to get the team together and sort out things like that, which is exciting. Also, another new sign for us, Dion Cross from Widnes, the winger. He was their fans player of the year in 2021. Speed, strength, knows where the line is. we have a vast quality of wingers in our squad. Let's not forget that. But he's certainly going to be competing for a spot.
Yeah, I think he's from what I've read and heard from Widnes fans, he's a real prospect for the future, and that's again with the reserves coming back this year as well. He's going to get plenty of game time, I would have thought, and I'm building on that because young talent he's hard to find, and if we've got a player there for the future anyway. Great signing, but yeah, he scored hatful of tries in the championship for a team that Widnes struggled for most of the last season. So it's a decent sign for him. So yeah, I look forward to seeing him. Like you said, I think we've got four wingers anyway, four really good wingers, or three top line wingers. But as has been proven for the last God knows how many years, how many of them you lose during the season with injuries. Yeah. But this guy's going to get his chance at some point, and fingers crossed. I mean, I did earlier. There was 2 or 3 teams chasing him in the Super League, and he's so we've landed him. So yeah, I look forward to seeing the lad.
Seeing him run Parky on YouTube, they might have chased him, but they're never going to catch him.
Right? Yeah. Well, I think that's the job of a winger, isn't it? That's the best thing. Just give him the ball and let him run.
And then gone. Yeah, he looks like a real star for me. If he gets a chance, he's gonna rip it up, I reckon. Contract extension. Sam luckily extended his contract. Shows good signs in his first season at Salford, and great that we tied him down because the last we want is one of our top players to be pinched again.
Yeah, delighted when I heard that. He's a proper fan's favourite, isn't he? At the start of the season, you could tell how raw he was. He wasn't, Super League. The whole thing seemed to take him by surprise a little bit. I don't know if he was, fully up to the speed and the pace and everything. But as the season went on, what an asset he became. He's got a wonderful offload. Really, has he load 2 or 3 players off and get the ball out, and that's another great thing to have. So yeah, I mean that's great news. He's a character, isn't he? I know. Spoke to him. I know Paul's interviewed him, and yeah, he comes across as one of them lads that you need in the squad. And I hope to see him develop even further now, and a bit more, maybe coaching, and he could be a real find for us.
Yeah, let's talk departure now. Parky, Ed Chamberlain, he's gone to Lee. Pauly's gone to York. Going to miss them both, I think. Obviously, Ed Chamberlain didn't get a chance sort of last year. He went sent out on loan. Did well for us though, sort of year before, playing fullback and sort of playing in the centres. So it was a bit of a surprise, really. But obviously, Paul Rowley's got his ideas regarding he wants in his squad, and Pauly go to York. A wrecking ball of a second row. Part of me thinks, do we need that extra size? But obviously, looking at the players that we've brought in aren't as big, but can be as devastating.
Yeah, firstly with Ed, I kind of can't get my head around the whole situation with what happened. I know he had injuries and so on when he was with us, but he did look like he had plenty of talent, a good goal kicker and all. And we loaned him out. We signed him on another 1-year extension, then loaned him out for the year. And then let him go. And he's kind of like, well, why did we extend his contract? I didn't get that. I don't know how he did at London. I'll be honest. I didn't really follow his progress there. And it is a shame we haven't seen the best of him. But he did struggle with injuries, which is blighted him. Because I think if he'd have stayed fit, he'd have probably fitted in quite well. Could have played a number of positions. And I wish him well, and I hope he stays fit and does well for Lee. He's certainly got the talent there, but a bit of a strange one, especially when we had so many injuries and so forth last year, and we couldn't call him back. It seemed a bit of a strange situation with him.
Weird.
As for Pauly, I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but for me, I'm a little bit disappointed that he's gone. People questioned his fitness. I'd like to see how many times last season he played more minutes than any other forward on the pitch, and the season before. He did a couple of stints of 80 minutes. 70-odd minute games and 60-odd minutes. That's a lot for a man of his size. to cover. He ran his way. Yeah, he probably had a mistake in him. He but I'd have happily kept him. I'll say that. I understand the club have moved him on, and Paul Rowley, like you say, he knows what he wants. He knows he'll see things that, or the coaching staff that we don't see, that we don't know, or whatever. And the fact that he's taken a step down, no disrespect to York or the Championship, maybe says, that it might be the right decision for us. But if he'd have stayed, I'd have been happy. He's gone. Well, fair enough. We move on, and like you said, the signings we made can cover for him.
Yeah, I think it was not last season, the season before, he played every game for us, which shows, physically he could do it. And like I say, Paul Rowley decides what he wants in his squad, and obviously, to me, he wants a different type of forward. So that is why this decision was made. So Paul Rowley, like any coach, sort of lives and dies by his decisions, doesn't he? So, but from what we've seen, he's brought in some good players. So you're looking more like living than dying at the moment. Other news, Parky, season tickets are out. Good prices. Early birds still going till December. You can get your direct debit, pay by direct debit as well, which is good. Hopefully, I think the season ticket sales aren't where the club expect them to be, but the club, I think we're talking about, the fans were worried about where we were playing and who was coaching us. And now we know where we're playing and who's going to coach us. Then obviously that anxiety should disappear, and people should now hopefully go out and buy their season tickets for Christmas.
Yeah, there's a few factors. The two you mentioned there about the manager, who's going to be the manager, where we're going, where we're going to be playing, all that. That's all to bed. We know all that now. Next season we're at the AJ Bell. Like it or not, that's where we're at. We've got the head coach now. We know that. There are other factors. COVID's been a big issue. People coming back out, and I think Paul King mentioned it last night about people thinking, well, what if it goes again? Am I paying for games I'm not going to see? I think I think we can probably put that to bed. I think as a country, I think we're a lot safer now, and I don't think that'll happen. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not Chris Whitty, but I'm just saying that.
Not like him.
We might be all right, but yeah, that's true. But that's to bed. The other thing is, people were waiting for the direct debit thing. I think that started November, so they'll be now getting onto that monthly. Christmas is coming.
Yep.
Presents. People have been waiting probably just to get that out of the way. I think there's a lot of insecurity around the world at the moment. People have got other priorities. I understand that, but I think we will see an upturn. I think the signing of the likes of Mark Sneed will get people's interest again. People say, "Oh, I'm going to wait," because last year was disappointing. After the two previous years, people have sort of gone, "Oh, it's back to whatever," and there were performances there last year which we spoke about, week in, week out, that weren't good enough. But now it's a fresh start. And like I said before, I mean, if you're listening to this or you've not listened to anything out of the club, please, honestly, we're not, I'm not making any of this up. This is it's so good to be part of right now. And I urge anyone to get a season ticket, buying your loved ones for Christmas, whatever. Even if they don't want to go, they don't have to go. That money's going into the club now when we need it most, because there's no revenue going in. But you still got to pay people, got to pay the staff, got to pay the players, but we get no money. And this is the time the club really needs it and needs the boost now and then into January. So I just urge everyone to get them now and help the club, but make these these things that are happening, make them happen quicker. And you're gonna get one if you're gonna get one. So just go and do it. And obviously, payday is another thing. We might have to wait another couple of weeks. People getting paid at the end of the month. Last one, possibly before Christmas or whatever. So I'm sure people will get out there now and start buying them. But things are exciting, so it's good to be part of.
Yeah, it's obviously very exciting. Other news, Parky, Salford announced going to be running a women's team in 2022, which is exciting. Mark Simon, the head coach, ex-Lancashire head coach, ex-Widnes, ex-Warrington. He will certainly sort of be able to educate the ladies. In 2022, there was an open training session. Was it last week? I think, was it 40 ladies turned up, which is fantastic. And I bet the club are sort of super excited about this.
Yeah, phenomenal. I know the coach we brought in, the guy to head it up, has so much experience in this. He's, again, another great coup to the club. We've not just gone out and got anybody. We've got somebody who knows the women's game inside out. I think it's brilliant. Absolutely phenomenal. I know we spoke, probably a while ago about, going down and trying to watch and, find out a little bit more about it, what's going on, what is the plan going forward. The turnout looked amazing, and another great string to the bow. And at last, I know a lot of clubs have had them for a while, and you watch it. I watched the women's grand final a few weeks back, the Saints Leeds game, and the skill levels are they're off the chart. Not what you expect. So our girls have got a lot of work to do, but it's great to have them representing us. And long may it continue. Fingers crossed they can get a team together as quick as and get into the league and start knocking some of these others about.
Yeah. I also want to mention Salford and Swinton girls rugby. It's for years between 1 to 6. They train at Lord Street, Cadizhead. If you're on Twitter, you can follow them at SS Girls RL. Obviously, that's fantastic. Obviously, giving them a pathway like the club have as well. Now they've got pathway, and we've got a group going on here where school girls can get involved in the sport early, and we can find talent in that process as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I know there's some really good people involved with that as well. Real Salford, down in the wall supporters who've got nothing but love for the club and rugby league at heart. And again, it's something that's missed, doesn't it? I suppose we're a bit more enlightened these days that girls do play rugby league and want to play rugby league from an early age. They see their brother doing it, and why can't they? Why shouldn't they? And these people have took it upon themselves now to set up a team, which is brilliant. And again, something else that just needs our support. And fingers crossed, people will flock down there. And again, it's not just about rugby, is it? It's about education. It's about keeping kids fit. It's too easy these days to sit at home and do nothing. Integrate, and the development of the kids at that age is brilliant. And these people are giving their time up. Nothing but credit to themselves and everybody at Salford.
Yeah, the Supporters Trust is now the official partner of the Reds Elite Development Squad. They gave, was it £22,000 to the project, which is great. I joined the Supporters Trust last night at the stadium update, which was great. So obviously, we do read a lot of news out of them, and after sort of 12 months of reading all the good stuff, Parky, I thought, you know what, I'll join this.
Yes, it's funny actually. When I got picked up last night, I realised I hadn't been to a cash point. This isn't an excuse, by the way. And as soon as I came out of the lift to the room, I saw Phil Dunning and Joe Hawkins and Natalie Taylor and Shirley and Alan and all them lot. And I thought, I've done it again. I am joining. You will get me money very, very shortly. Again, another great thing. I mean, 20 odd grand to the club. You're not going to find that money. Sponsors won't give you that money. That's a lot of hard work gone in over a year. I know they've got another event coming up, haven't they? Is it got an 80s night or something coming up?
80s night at the Bluebell.
They keep doing these things. And again, just like I said about the girls team, the Salford and Swinton girls team, these people are giving the time up for nothing, just for the pure love of it. And I'd previously been involved, obviously, with Forever Reds, and I saw the work that went in with a lot of people there and how hard it is to, to balance your time. You've got your family, you've got everything else, and it's been a tough few years. But it's great because we all get together as well.
Yeah.
And whatever event throughout the season. I'm sure this year there'll be more. Now restrictions are eased. So yeah, great work from them, and I'm certainly going to give them a tenner as soon as I see them all again, or I may just do it online, probably easier. I'm not making excuses. I probably should have had a lot on, but yeah, I urge anyone again to just get involved with that.
That branch tapping on your window at night. That's not that branch.
Yeah, they'll have me.
Other news coming from the Supporters Trust. They raised 3,600 from sponsor a try, which is always a good way to raise sort of money. And don't forget, like Parky said, you can renew your membership for £10, and also you can put £5 towards the pathway as well, which is equally important, really, Parky.
Yeah, very much. Well, like I say, the commitment the club are putting in. And these guys who are running Supporters Trust together, it's only going to make us better. I think, I mean, that sponsor a try, by the way. Considering how few tries we scored in most games, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I think we're averaging about 14 points a game for most of the season. So to rake in that amount, can you imagine if we'd scored? It'd have been a decent season. we could have bought the club, I think. Yeah, no, brilliant. Again, just another initiative, isn't it? Another way of just raising money. I think it's like, is it 50p a try and that kind of thing? Well, not an awful lot, is it? If you can, but it's just a case of doing what you can for the club when you can.
Yeah. Other news, Parky. We now have got a link up with Ghana Rugby League. I know we touched on it briefly when we were talking about Paul Trainer's part of his presentation from yesterday. We've got 42 listeners in Ghana every week.
Well, hello to them, and thank you. Thanks for listening. It's brilliant. You know what's strange, Rob? I'm not just going to say this, but I had been following it, the Ghana Rugby. I mentioned
it was you.
But a few months back about the World Cup not going ahead and all that. I'm massively into international rugby league. I think it's the only way the sport's going to grow realistically if it has a proper international game, and the Australians don't block it whenever they feel like it. And Ghana's been going on for a while, really. It's not a new thing. They've got a league over there. They've got a lot of people. I think they've got a women's game already set up and that kind of thing. And they've been working on it for a while. And I know that there are quite a few now African nations getting involved. And when you see the athletes that come from these countries, again, it's a massive, why it's been so untapped by rugby league or most sports for so long. But for us to be the first to sort of go down this route of going to Africa and helping that, obviously we're going to supply some training, some equipment, some coaching sessions. Hopefully, bring some of their guys over here to learn how it works at an elite Super League club. It's brilliant. I think it just shows how enlightened these people are that are involved with us. That they've looked further than the end of the nose. They're not just looking at Salford and Greater Manchester. I mean, Ghana, why not? Brilliant. And like I say, I've followed it for a while, and I can't help but just wish them the best and hope that eventually we can help them blossom into a proper first grade nation of rugby league and spread the word across Africa, because let's be honest, there's millions of pairs of eyes who'll be watching, and it's only good for the game. What Salford are doing here isn't just good for Salford Rugby League and Ghana. It's good for rugby league in general. Yeah,
fantastic news. We wish everyone sort of well in that project. It's going to be amazing to see what comes of it. Final bit of news, Parky. Salford Monopoly has been sort of announced. We're on the board, which is good. More lanes on the board as well, which is good. You can get it for, I think it's $29.99 in certain shops and online. I'm sure Santa will be having at least a couple of boxes being delivered to the Salford faithful.
Well, I'm looking at mine right now. It's right in front
Oh,
of me.
that's what's keeping you back.
I've not opened it yet. This is why I've got this weird setup at the moment. It's actually helping me keep my camera on. I've not opened it. Still fresh. So that's all saved for an argument on Christmas Day. A big fight with all the family. No, brilliant. Great for Salford, great for the city. Let's be honest. There's only so many Monopoly, additions to be made. I think my brother told me last night it's something like they only visit 14 cities a year.
Yeah.
To do, and then select whoever. Just shows how far we've come as a city, really.
Yeah.
20 years ago we wouldn't have even been thought of, and now, monopolists known around the world. I'm sure a lot of Salford households will have a board this Christmas, and like I say, be falling out over it before too long. But just remember, if you are going to throw it, don't damage it, because got Salford all over it. So, but yeah, we're on it. Another way of identifying us. Fantastic, and I actually can't wait to open it, but I'm being told I've got to hold back.
Got to hold back, Parky. Like I said, so Christmas, Boxing Day, and from then on, that's the name of the game. This is the end of the show, but before we go, Parky, I know it feels like the season's a long time ago, but we never actually announced our Player of the Year on our three-word man of the match, Player of the Year either. And it was a close run thing, really, especially the 3-word man of the matches. But the winner of the awards was Ken Seo, Parker.
Yeah, I think he was the obvious choice in the end, wasn't it? I mean, there were a few that could have done, and we mentioned before that as the season goes on, it's funny how that 3-word man of the match thing changes.
Yeah.
Because at the start of the season, I think Elijah Taylor was running away with it to start with. He was our one big committed player. He was this, that, he was like the only one that stood out. And then somebody else takes over. And, who'd have thought by the end of the year, it'd have been Chris Atkin who was pushing, and people, because you thought he was more of a backup or a supporting player, how key he became. And as the season changes, and it's easy at the end of the year to say, Ken Seo's my player of the year. But as you watch the trend through the season, it wouldn't have been Ken Seo at midway point. I wouldn't have thought he'd been anywhere near. So, fully deserved. Kenny Seo, what a season he had. We missed him for a period, but especially towards the end of the season, and to become the top try scorer, our first in Super League, absolutely brilliant. And then he obviously that night when we were giving out the trophy and the Players Awards, Jack Dearden is on the stage and announces that he's staying with us, and that was, I don't know. I think that was like Christmas on its own. That he was staying, and the noise in the room that night was brilliant when they announced it. It was quite a formal thing, but his name was chanted around the room, and that was great news. A much deserved Player of the Year.
First Devil in the Detail Player of the Year to stay.
Yes.
Which has took us 7 years, Parker. Let's be fair, but eventually we managed to tie one down.
I like to think that's what persuaded him.
Yeah. Regarding the vote, he won the vote as well. The person who finished second was Harvey Levette.
Yeah.
And there was 1% between the two of them. Yeah. And the one, I had to leave it before I rang the trophy person, because it was that tight. I didn't want to ring him with half an hour to go to say, put this on. And in that half an hour, it switched. So that's how close it was, really. And, big thanks for all your votes. Every vote mattered. And you just about got Ken C over the line. Third place was Reece Williams as well. So, yeah, congratulations to all three. We had a chat with Ken CO about his winnings. And this is him thanking us for it.
All right, Kenny, you've won the Devil in the Detail Player of the Year award and the 3-word match report award. Quick message for Rob, who runs the account.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Thanks for these 2 trophies. I really appreciate it. And this is credit to the boys for the way I performed and to the fans as well. Cheers, thank you.
So that was Ken Seal saying thanks for his award, and like you say, it was a great event, and he's been great for us. But now we've turned down a long-term contract. We'll be seeing loads more of Seal scoring tries.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Even more, hopefully next season, or unless we just share them about. I'm not really bothered who scores them, but yeah, I'm glad to see Harvey Levesque got recognised. He was brilliant last season. Shame he got injured when he did towards the end, but what a signing he was.
Yeah,
he's still got a massive future ahead of him. The best is yet to come from him. And like you say, in third, Reece Williams. Nobody would have seen that, I don't think.
Nope.
He had what you would probably consider a relatively quiet season in many ways. But how much ball did he see? It wasn't, he never got, or very, very rarely got ball in good, clear space where he could, get them legs going. A lot of it was coming in outside looking for work. And I think that's what gets at him. He's work rate, he's solid. He doesn't make mistakes. You know what you're going to get from him. And again, another one probably at the start of the season, which we thought he wouldn't start. We probably thought Joe Burgess and Kenny Seal would be the wingers for the season. Injuries happen, everything else. Steps in, and he's seamless. You can trust him. And he had another good year at the chances he got.
Yeah, obviously it was a bit. I won't say it was a surprise, but he is Mr. Consistent though, Parky. When that's what you want. You want players who are consistent, and that's what Reece Williams is. And looking forward to see what he can sort of produce with all that competition in the backs for next season. It's going to push everyone on. It's going to be super exciting to talk all about it on the podcast every week. So that's the end of this week's podcast, Parky. It was good to get back behind the microphone after a few weeks off.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we could have covered every subject for another hour. I think they were all separate shows from them all. But yeah, no, it's great to be back. Great to be talking. I'm sure there's a lot of news to come out of the club in the next few weeks and months before the season starts. I think there was mention of new shirts coming out at the end of the month and so on. People's opinions on them, and then going into training and then pre-season, any friendlies that are coming up. So we've still got a lot to look forward to before we kick off again. And that won't be that far off, let's be honest. I think when the season ended, it was a bit, got like 5 months of nothing now or something. But there's never a dull moment with Salford Red Devils. And I'm sure that's going to continue. And just keep an eye out for all the stadium stuff. And, and let's get behind the team now and get behind the club. And let's push on for 2022.
Never a dull moment for you, Parky. You've got to get off now and ring that bell and slay that vampire.
Yeah, I've got a bit of work to do now. I'm just going to dig out my crucifix and everything else.
Yeah, so big thanks for tuning in to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, and Spotify. See you next week. And before I go, don't forget the Pop podcast with Paul Traynor and Paul King, where they talk about this update with the stadium and the great things that the club are doing in the community. See you next week.